So, welcome back, guys. That was really interesting, wasn't it, Lindsay?
It was.
So, we've now got Natasha Tzikos with us, who's going to be talking about her latest article with us for the Upstart magazine.
Hi, Natasha.
Hi, how are you going?
Very well, thank you. So, you're writing about an issue that I think probably until recently has been pretty much swept under the carpet.
Yeah.
We really revere our athletes as very resilient, strong individuals. But you're looking in your new article about what happens after retirement.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your article and how you came to write about it.
Well, obviously everybody knows mental health is an issue in the general population. So one of the quotes I got from a sports psychologist was, mental health, it's a human thing. And I have, there's been some stories and articles lately about athletes facing issues leading up to retirement or during retirement. So I just wanted to delve into that issue a bit further. I got to interview a motorsport champion and the sports psychologist to get both insights and to see what bits are similar and what bits contrast. Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating.
And what did you end up finding out from that?
So basically, towards the end or nearing retirement, athletes kind of face a kind of identity crisis because their identity as an athlete is being challenged. So it's about finding other areas and other skills that you can specialise in, so the athletic career isn't the be-all and end-all in case something happens, because you can't plan for an injury. An injury could just knock you out for the rest of your career. So it's just basically about having a backup. But I found that, from interviewing John, that he just saw his racing career as that was it. And when he was at the peak, he didn't think of the end of his career. So obviously when he did come towards the end, it all came crashing down on him and he was facing a lot of struggles.
So tell us about John Bow. He's a moto
motorsport champion. Yeah.
And how did you come to get to know him?
I was actually quite lucky. So this is my first article that I've written, and the first two people I contacted to get interviews replied straight away. So that was
never happens.
But obviously looking into depression, I was looking at the Beyond Blue site and then found John on the Beyond Blue site, and I just literally contacted him through his website, and he was very happy to help out because he's spoken about it and he's become an ambassador. So he was very open to chat to me, and that's really how I came. Yeah, it was luck, really.
And it's actually interesting because, like a sport like like any car racing, there's also, you look at the fact that it's not as popular as the AFL would be here in Australia, where the AFL, you can sort of see, towards the end of the careers, players starting to go into the media or going to that. Yeah. It's a bit harder for sports that aren't as, popular and aren't as recognisable.
In the spotlight.
Yeah, in the spotlight as well.
And that's what the psychologist said, that he said, if you're in the AFL, the general progression is usually into the media or hosting and things like that. And I just wanted to go, I just thought motorsport, because for one, John said people don't see motorsport as an athletic sport or a sport in general, but it actually is. So kind of wanted to investigate that more, that side of it more, as opposed to more well-known AFL or Olympic athletes or that sort of thing.
Well, if we look at the terminology around being an elite athlete in anything, so whether it be using technology with cars or being a runner or an AFL player, it's all about extreme focus, isn't it?
Exactly.
Your whole waking life revolves around practicing.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you then, after so many years of almost self-indoctrination, change your identity?
And that's what John said.
Yeah. So what did the sports psychologist say?
It was basically, again, just about fostering other areas and fostering other skills. But what John said as well, he spent, every single waking moment, and you need this single-mindedness to operate at such an elite level. So obviously when all that stopped, it's a massive shock to the system, which is obviously what the psychologist agreed with as well. So it's just about having the support networks around you to be better educated about these things, because I think this issue is becoming more prevalent, but it's still quite new. So it's just really educating the networks around athletes to help support them, and so they don't fall down in this spiral of depression.
And you said you were looking at the Beyond Blue website.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about how do you think they can help these retired athletes going into...
Yeah, well, I think for one, with John speaking up, it's even though he's in motorsports, it would encourage other athletes in other sports to speak up. And even he said to me, you know, motorsport, he said there's no support in motorsport when he was speaking to me. But after he reached out, he said a lot of people were coming to him, maybe not necessarily reaching out on a public scale like he did, but at least coming to him and acknowledging that, yeah, they're struggling as well. So I just think, yeah, having an athlete then a male athlete as well, because males don't tend to reach out about these things, really helps to get other people to reach out as well.
Yes, let's talk about that. I mean, culturally, I suppose, if you're a sports person, it's all about kind of pushing the pain barrier. It's about kind of increasing your fitness, building your muscles, that kind of thing. So there is, to an extent, a self-taught, mantra about push through. Whereas, say, you know, if you're in a more kind of sensitive environment, you'd be more maybe sympathetic to your self voices.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about the sporting, culture that isn't really grasping this kind of be gentle with oneself kind of attitude?
Well, Daniel Diamond, the sports psychologist, brought this term to me that I actually hadn't heard of before, called mental toughness. So it's not used in every sporting organisations, but it's basically saying you have to be mentally tough and you have to be okay 100% of the time. And he used this quote, if you're an elite athlete and you've got something going on, are you going to, and you have to be in this perfect state of mind all the time, are you going to tell someone about your issues, or are you going to hold on to it and just keep dealing it with yourself? And then obviously that keeps building up and building up, so you never actually reach out to anyone, because it is this pressure on athletes that they have to be in a perfect state of mind all the time to perform and be the best.
Sure.
It's such an interesting, issue to look at, an area to look at. So thank you, Natasha, for joining us.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
for having
coming
me.
in. Thank you.
It's really interesting because you look at, even like you look at the AFL players, like the players that don't make it past. There's stars, and then there's the ones that maybe be on the list for 2-3 years, and then to see them, then they have to start a whole new life again. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
And they'll only be maybe 23, 24.
Yeah, that's right. Like, what if you just drafted and then you do your ankle or something? It's just
yeah,
shattering.
exactly. Well, it's a